How come most startups fail, even when we have more tactics and strategies than ever before? Join the bedside chat of an entrepreneurial couple as they share what it takes to create a business with ease and in flow.
Hey there, it's Natasha
and Jachym.
Welcome to the 6th podcast of Biz In Flow. You're in bed with us. I'm Natasha
And I'm Jachym.
Welcome to this bedside chat where we're going to reflect on our entrepreneurial day and pretty much suck out all the insights, all the learnings so that you don't have to pretty much relive what we've been through and live vicariously through our wins.
Yeah, I like it. I don't really know what to say. So, today we were quite busy with other things. I had to take care of some investments and stuff like that. But we did look a bit at how can we create a blue ocean, for those who are not aware of it. When a business goes into a new venture that is fresh and new, it's called a blue ocean, and then more and more competitors come into the space and it becomes a red ocean, and it becomes a bit more like warfare, where you're trying to use tactics and strategies and all kinds of things to outpace your competitors. And so the blue ocean strategy is, well, instead of doing that, you want to create a new blue ocean. And how did that go? What do you think of it?
To me, because I've actually gone through the process of mapping things out from the learnings of the Blue Ocean Strategy book, so to me, it really just represents what is the value that we bring, what are our characteristics. So for example, for us, spirituality or our inner workings and how that impacts our lives and our businesses, that's really high in the content that we share, in how we experience our work and our lives. So that's high. While when we're mapping out our competitors, some of them don't see that as something valuable, or maybe it's just something that they don't cover at all, and then that's low. So you have this low, medium to high for all sorts of things. So for example, some people focus on a specific gender for female entrepreneurs, or for some people it's extremely fixated on money and profits and doing that. So each business or each project that you start, you have a stance, and there's a characteristic to you, there's a sort of value that you bring, and each project or each business is extremely different. So today, for the first time, I think, we really looked into, I would call them competitors or people who are within this, business coaching space, but how do they differ from us and how do we stand out? And we didn't do that exercise from the point of view of what are other people doing and how do we do things differently. It was more of knowing first what it is that is true to us and just checking the landscape, checking if this is a crowded space, checking if someone has already done it before, checking if we're totally off the course. So we pretty much got quite a few characteristics and values down. We didn't really get to mapping it out yet, so we can see visually where we stand, where other people stand. And this is the wonderful thing. Sometimes we think that if an industry is saturated and coaching is very saturated, we think that there's no space for us, but we don't realize that we are really different, and this business ocean strategy way of looking at how different our values are, right? The qualities that we have, that we bring, once you look at that and you map it out, it becomes really clear that we're really not all the same. But if you do find that you are very similar to other people, then you might want to rethink, because you might just be copying an idea that you've heard again and again, and maybe you just need to get more creative. So I'm looking forward to that process tomorrow. We did the groundwork, but we get to see the results tomorrow.
So in what way are we unique? Like, what's our kind of value proposition?
Well, the whole idea of Biz In Flow is that it's not just about the tactics, right? It's not just about what you're doing, but why we're even doing it and how we're actually doing that. So from my point of view, and you can add your piece here. It's funny how I'm giving Jachym permission to add his piece when it's like a co-hosted podcast. But anyways, from my point of view, we are focusing on how we work internally. Because this is the foundation. This is the beginning of everything. This is the beginning of our visions. This is the beginning of our actions. This is the beginning of every single relationship that this business will have with any individual, and any emotions that this business will evoke. It's going to be experienced within us. So I focus quite a lot on what's going on inside, the challenges. Well, first of all, what are the challenges that we're experiencing within us? And starting from there versus, okay, let's fix things from the outside. Who's wrong? What's wrong? And just diving straight in. And I had a coaching call with someone today, and this is so normal. So many of us, when we're in an uncomfortable situation, when we're faced with discomfort, the first thing we do is try to find that eject button. And we're looking for the exit sign, and we're just trying to get out of there ASAP. And that doesn't always lead to really good results from what I've seen and what I've experienced. Sometimes it's really good to actually slow it down and do something that's right versus just easy. And so what I share with you guys is not always easy, but at least it's not that temporary solution, that eject, button, or that fast exit route. So you can just hide or avoid or quickly put out a fire, right? And not actually get to the root of what it is that you want to resolve and what it is that you want to create.
Yeah, and I think that's really vital. And I mean, looking at the different kind of businesses that are out there that might be going in a similar direction, it was actually quite interesting to do it, because there was this whole branch basically of single coaches basically just putting up a web page and doing whatever they're doing, branding themselves as that. And then there was the other kind of side, which felt more a bit like a business with systems, that was more teaching about online businesses, and which just kind of gave them a different kind of feel. And for me, I feel like we kind of combined both a bit. And then also it was interesting to see, there's the whole mindset thing. Mindset is the buzzword and all of that. But really, for me, at least personally, it's not just a simple kind of shift here and there about how you think about something or something like that. It's much a deeper kind of work that really can impact you and set you free. Because let's face it, you want to build a business and have a certain lifestyle because you believe that's going to give you certain kinds of feelings. And while you may or may not get that, the chances are higher to not get it when you don't actually do the inner work required. So you can have the feelings right now without having to have the business, without having to have the kind of lifestyle. And that's really where I think we can bring value, where we can actually take this whole mindset spiel to a much deeper level, where people really authentically can transform their whole entire life.
Right, because maybe for another business who seem like they're covering this exact topic, for them, maybe it's like an additional tool. It's like, oh yeah, don't forget that. Don't forget to think positive. Don't forget to do self-care. Don't forget to, But for us, it's not just like a tool or an idea. It's really how personally We've seen that. That's how things work.
Yeah. It is the real game.
Yeah. And if you're busy pushing and pulling the wrong strings, and you're playing tug of war, and you know, playing puppet master, but you've got the wrong puppet in your hands, that really doesn't help your business or your life at all. So I guess it's going to be really important for us to be able to communicate this, because everyone might have similar quotes on, you know, this, you know, how to do business well, or that productivity, and, you know, that goal and achieving it. But somehow we need to show that this is the real deal. We're not slapping it on because it sounds good, because it's relevant these days, but because this is the basis of our work. And this is how we've created a happy life for ourselves too.
Yeah, I mean, that's where our experience really lies. Our experience and our expertise is not with the tactics and the strategies and all of that. I mean, we're building that now more with doing this, but they really, at least my expertise, they lie in the inner work, in the transformation of yourself, because wherever you go, you take yourself with you. And the scenery may change, but if you're playing out the same pattern over and over in your life, building a business is just going to do that most likely. And so rather than being stuck in that, change the pattern, step out of it, build your business, lead the lifestyle that you want to do, and enjoy it.
Yeah. And I just want to point out how much awareness we actually have, right? Because I remember when I first started Feminine Space, which is my first business, I remember looking at all the competitors and what I was taught. And this is something you might find that we cover quite a bit, or we mention on this podcast, is that sometimes, you know, marketing or business tactics and strategies are taught, but when you actually do it, it might not work for you. So that's something really interesting that I learned when I was creating my first business. So what I learned was I should look at the market. I should look at what I kind of want to bring, what I'm good at, what I could bring as value, and look at what's already provided within the market. Look at my competitors. So that's what I did. And to be honest, when I looked at that, it almost made me kind of self-conscious, going, oh my goodness, all of this is already out there. Everyone is already doing this. And somehow I was told to look for the gap, like where's the empty space? What could you provide that's not there yet? And if you're just looking at your competitors and you're trying to find your own little niche by looking at what other people have done, it's really hard to get creative. I don't know a better way to describe this, but it didn't feel like I was starting from me, my idea, what felt right from the beginning. It felt like I was trying to scrape away my little corner when it was already occupied and busy, and the best real estate was already gone. So I really appreciate where we're coming from today, because it's a place of, I know what I can provide. I know myself well enough to know what the, you know, not the ethical code, but what are the principles we want to lead this business with. And also, yes, we cover mindset. Yes, we cover business, but it's my way. It's our way. And it's different because of this and that. And honestly, it's so clear for us, right? Like looking up the competitors, looking up what's out there within the market. Sure, it might even tweak our marketing a bit. It might tweak our concept a bit. But I think more than anything, it's pushed us, or it's inspired us to be even more of what we wanted to share in the first place. And that's really fascinating, because from what I experienced at the beginning for myself in my first business, I didn't have a very strong grounding. I didn't have a real sense of who I am. I guess I haven't blossomed a lot then. And if you're coming from that place and you don't know yourself and you're not in touch with yourself, then it's so easy to get knocked over by like the slightest wind. And in that case, it was looking at competitors. It made me confused. It made me discouraged. It made me feel small. It made me feel like, how do I carve my little piece? So I just love how this exercise was actually really invigorating. Like it made us realize, oh yes, do more of what we felt in the first place. Do more of us.
Yeah. And that's the way that this is going to be sustainable. Because if we have to think we have to twist ourselves in some way, shape or form, then it becomes more difficult. And what I liked while looking at the competitors is that there's lots of solopreneurs out there. There's not too many couples that are going in this direction. There's here and there some, but not really that many. And I really like that we're doing this together, because we're bringing such different energies to it as well.
I think that if you have enough self-awareness and enough grounding within yourself, when you look at other people, it's much less from a place of like jealousy or competition. Just like you said, just the fact that, we're a couple, we're doing it and we're happy, we're working with each other. And I remember how we were with a bunch of new friends for New Year's Eve this year. I guess last year, however you want to call it. And we were telling them how we work from home and we have our separate businesses at that time. We didn't create Biz In Flow yet, but we were talking to them about how much time we spend with one another. And pretty much everybody in that room was like, oh my goodness, I would not be able to survive if I had to see my spouse every single day and be in their presence and not have time away and all that kind of stuff. So that was surprising to me, because I thought that it was just normal. So if we actually have a good sense of ourselves and we're willing to take an honest look at ourselves, and then also to check, okay, what's going on in other people, then it helped me to realize, okay, what's normal for us, what's easy for us, may not be totally, possible in this moment for someone else. It might feel uncomfortable, it might be something new, it might be something they need to work on or transition into. So it can be a source of good to also look at other people's experiences and their take on things, but only when, I have a good sense of myself.
And as well, what I think is really important is that the lifestyle, the business, the money, the abundance, and all of that, all the nice things that you might want, they will come, but they are like the fruits on a tree, and the tree takes some time to grow. And so where I'm at, where we are at, we've been at this for quite a while. By now, I've been doing coaching for about 7 years by now, almost 7 years. And I've gone through deep transformational change over those years. And so I am at the point where I can do this because I've put in the work, and now, the fruits are much easier to come because of all the groundwork that's been laid before. And so we see people starting something and we're like, oh my God, they became a success overnight, or they just did it in those few months and all that. And while that's possible, it is a journey. And it is really important to realize that the fruits will come, but you need patience.
That is so key. That is so key. And if you're uncomfortable or you can't handle, emotions that come up, right, as you're being patient, as things take their time, if you're unable to deal with those emotions, then the game's over real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I was impatient. Luckily, I was impatient and persistent. So the persistence won out because that's what I wanted to do. So you can be impatient. You might just make it a bit harder for yourself.
Yeah, that simply just sounds painful to me.
Yeah, it was.
So I don't really wish that upon anyone. So anyways, I'm ready for bed.
Me too.
So thanks everybody for joining in for our bedside chat today. Lovely talking about blue ocean strategy, finding our place in the world, finding a place for our business in the world, and feeling good about that. Not feeling like we have to sneak through a crack to be able to, occupy some space in the marketplace. I honestly believe that when it comes to personal brands and when it comes to extending a part of yourself into the world in the form of business, there's a great deal of magic if you do it in a way that's actually really true to you. And I think that's a huge gift. But that takes courage, and that takes getting to know who you are.
All right, let's wrap it up. I wish you all a wonderful day or a good night.
Good night, and talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.